Hey guys, Marsengan here, bringing another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan Battle video. And so something interesting has happened in the last couple of days that could have a very serious effect on global Dokkan. Maybe not as a whole, maybe only regionally, I'm not too sure, but we're going to dive into all of the information here in the video. So essentially this comes from a new law that is being brought into place in the EU, so obviously the larger part of Europe. I actually don't know how this would affect me over here and games in the UK, because of course the UK left the European Union, so I'm not sure whether this would apply over here. But something like this, if it has a major impact, could affect the entirety of global, right? Because I don't know if they will specifically change things for one region and one region alone. As we know, happened with Belgium, for example. We'll get into that here in the video as well. Basically, the EU is putting a new law into games that small purchases cannot lead into bigger ones. This is basically a whole thing about microtransactions within games. So there's a bit more of a detailed one down here. So the one thing that's already come into place, it was taken against a small game called, I say small, it doesn't say small there. I've never heard of it, so I don't know how big it is. Star Stable. The key things were no limited time purchases like special 1 hour FOMO packs, removal of purchases locked behind smaller ones, removal of their own virtual currency. Now, the top one obviously doesn't really apply to global. I mean, I guess it does, right? Because ticket packs and things like that are only available while the banner is available, but that makes sense, right? Because once the banner's gone, what's the point of buying? You don't buy a pack of tickets for a banner that doesn't exist. So I don't think this one really falls under that sort of thing. This is the kind of thing that you see in a lot of games like Fortnite and stuff like that, where you log in and it's like 24 hours only you can get this skin for like half the price and stuff like that. Then we've got removal of purchases locked behind smaller ones. This is the one that could be very interesting for global, because obviously global very often now does these step up packs for the tickets. And also remember, at the beginning of the month, on the first of every month, when we get those packs that you can buy for the Elder Kai keys and the link skill orbs as well, they go up in like tiered packs as well, right? So you can't just buy the last one straight away if that's the only one you wanted to get. You have to buy the first one, the cheapest one, then you can buy the second one, then you can buy the third one. Now, obviously this kind of thing works to a certain degree, because if you're someone who, let's say for tickets on a banner, you're someone who doesn't spend a lot of money on the game, you probably just want to buy the cheaper one anyway. But I can kind of see, like, if you're someone who spends, just a specific amount, like maybe you spend like, $30 to $40 every time there's a banner, you can't buy the ticket pack for the $30 until you buy the other one first, which I think is usually around 7 or 8, right? So if this was to come into place, this means that you would not have to do that, right? In theory, they could still sell the same packs. They would just have to make it so that you can buy all of them straight away. And obviously this is something they do with like the anniversary and big celebrations, where they'll do like a small ticket pack, then a medium one, and then a large one. And again, you can't buy the medium or the large one until you buy the small one, and then you can't buy the large one until you buy the medium one. So this would essentially mean that all of those packs would have to be available straight away. Now the interesting thing, of course, the final point, removal of their own virtual currency. I'm not sure exactly, I don't think that applies to something like stones, but I guess it's a similar sort of thing. Like, again, to use Fortnite as an example, that would be like V-Bucks and other games versions of those things, right? Where you have to spend real money to buy the V-Bucks, which is then what you use to buy stuff in the shop. And of course, the only way, the way to get around that, obviously, is you just make the things in the shop directly cost real money. And I think the main idea behind this is so that people are aware of exactly how much things cost and like what you're spending on each individual item, rather than someone, buying a big pack of this in-game currency and then going to buy like a few separate things. You can't really tell like exactly how much each thing costs separately, unless you're obviously working it out yourself, like as you go. And this is obviously aimed at protecting younger people and obviously, you know, people who are more susceptible to these kinds of advertising. FOMO, of course, literally means fear of missing out. Like that's where they do these special offers for a short time. So people are more like feel more pressured to buy them, because if it's like a skin you really want and then it's on sale for like 12 hours, you know, after that time it goes back to being full price. So if you really want it, you kind of feel like you have to buy it within that time frame. And obviously that's not everybody. There are plenty of people that play these kind of games and are not influenced by these sorts of things at all, but obviously younger people, it can be a big issue. So certainly very interesting to see what could happen here. Now there's a couple of other points as well. So shout out to Zed, posted a thing afterwards as well. So this particular thing you can see here, this is from another different game. I don't know if it's the same game that was mentioned in Annie's post, but practices to avoid: offering in-game virtual currencies only in bundles, mismatching the value of purchasable in-game digital content and services, denying consumers the possibility to choose the specific amount of in-game virtual currency to be purchased. And the example that they give here is whatever this game is, you can buy a sword for 750 of these diamonds, but you can't buy 750 diamonds. You can buy 660 in a pack here, or you can buy 1,400, and so then obviously you'd have a whole load left over spare. So you'd have to buy like the 661 and then I guess buy like maybe the 65 one twice or the 331. And of course the way they do this with packs, the same with like stones in Dokkan, is probably it works out cheaper rather than buying a bunch of the smaller ones to just buy one of the bigger ones, which of course is what they want you to do. And obviously this is very specific to Dokkan, because as it says here, we would no longer get like 47 packs, or like the, you know, the big one that is normally the most expensive pack, unless they do like a special 100 one, is like 91 or 93 stones, which of course leaves you, you know, 7 or 9 stones short of being able to do 2 multi-summons. So the packs would have to be in like 5, 50, 100, etc. Or, as it says here, denying consumers the possibility to choose the specific amount of in-game currency to be purchased. So if they're going to do, for example, like a step-up banner where the first 3 multis are 30 stones, the game would have to offer a pack that is exactly 30 stones. And then they'd have to offer one for 50, because that's what multis normally cost. So this would mean a complete change of the actual sizes of the packs. And even to the point of just being able to buy as many as you want on like a sliding scale, which would be very interesting, because of course the more you buy, the cheaper stones get. That's how they encourage people to buy more. But this isn't an interesting example here. Like if you've got 46 stones, you should be able to just buy 4, so that then you've got 50. Whereas the only way to do that currently is to just buy 1 stone 4 times, which I think they're like 99 cents each if you're just buying 1. Which of course, you know, it then works out at that point it's cheaper. You might as well buy one of the smaller packs, because let me have a look at the shop here for the normal dragon stones, because like a pack of 6 costs like $4. So why would you buy 4 single ones for $4 each, like for $1 each, when you could buy the pack of 6 for $4, but then you end up with 2 spare that you don't need. So this could massively change the actual sizes of the packs of stones themselves that are available in the shop, which would be certainly very interesting. And then yeah, Annie retweeted this one. This was published 3 days ago alongside the article that he posted about. So far they've only targeted one game, but who knows if they'll target big companies. The second a major game gets targeted by the EU, then the entire gaming sphere will change very quickly. And so the big thing, of course, now I don't think this will happen for the whole of global, because essentially the game goes out of business, right, if that is the case. But remember, a couple of years back, I covered it on the channel when it happened, Belgium passed some laws around gacha games and like in-game microtransactions, and essentially that resulted in the shop page just being unavailable on the, if you're in Belgium and playing the global version of Dokkan. You can literally still click on the shop icon at the bottom, and then it just loads a completely blank page and you're unable to buy stones. So essentially you could still play Dokkan, but you were forced to be free to play. Now somehow people in Belgium of course managed to just get around this. I don't know whether it's using VPNs, because if you were using a VPN to act as if you were outside of Belgium, I don't know how the stats would then still show that the purchases were coming from Belgium, because the funny thing of course is we got top grossing a few times in like multiple regions, and one of the regions listed as being top grossing was Belgium, even though it was a region that technically shouldn't be able to buy stones, but was listed under the top grossing thing. And I guess maybe that's because if all games have been under that same kind of law there, people are using these workarounds, whatever they may be, to buy stones. Potentially wouldn't have even have to have been that much to actually be the top grossing game if all the other games are making severely less money because of these new rules. But this is something to consider. I mean, that would be the worst case scenario, because I feel like, as I say, the game would essentially go out of business if global in all regions was unable to have a shop. But again, remember, these laws are targeted around the EU, so I guess the one step back from worst case scenario is all regions in the EU then go the same way as the Belgium situation, where there is no longer a shop available. And then, yeah, the full-on worst-case scenario is that it would be the whole of global. But as this law is only within the EU, I can see with the Belgium example being something that they've done before, that being something that could happen for the EU regions. But remember, like we said, this is not a law that is saying all microtransactions and everything have to be completely removed, which I think is along the lines of what happened in Belgium, hence the shop being completely removed. But this makes a more like clear and sort of more stringent guidelines on what has to be done within the game. And to be honest, some of this stuff I don't really see the problem. Like I say, there are ways to work around this, at least within the way it's written. So like not being able to have step up packs is fine. You still just have all the same packs available. They're just not restricted, so you don't have to buy the first one to buy the last one. You could just buy the last one straight away if you want to, which of course there will be people that will still buy all of them, like the whales and stuff, but there will be people who only want to buy the largest one, and now they'll have the option to do that. And then of course this one is the most interesting one, being able to buy packs of like the specific number of stones in relation to multi-summons, which to be honest I think is a good idea. We've all complained over the years of like, you know, why do the big packs give you like 93 stones when that leaves you 7 short of actually being able to do 2 multi-summons? So even if the price increases by like $1 or $2, just being able to buy 100 stones in one go makes a lot more sense. But yes, we will have to wait and see. So there may be, obviously the best case scenario for Dokkan itself, of course, is that this doesn't have any effect whatsoever. But it's one of those things we've talked about on my streams before. Like, I am very aware that this is an issue that exists, right? I mean, the game says on the loading screen you must be 13 years or older, but even some people around that age, right, are going to have these issues with not really understanding like the value of money and all that kind of stuff. Younger people will play these games regardless, and then whether you're 13 or even older, some people have, you know, I don't want to just straight up say like gambling problem, but I mean, some people do, right, that play gacha games, and some people will be tempted by limited time sales and all this kind of stuff. So I do think having some of these things in place to protect those kind of people is a good idea, because if you're someone who does have a control on your spending and stuff, minor changes to the shop like this, for example, aren't going to affect you at all. You're still able to buy the currency that you want and the packs that you want and stuff like that. And in fact, having less restriction on things like step up packs will potentially be better for some people. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. What do you think the best case scenario or best outcome is for this? Would you prefer like stone packs to be in multiples of like the 50 or 100 rather than these odd numbers? Because again, even like the fact there's a 6 stone pack, like if you really just wanted to do a single, you only need 5 stones and not 6. So it would probably just be nicer to have a more round number. But let me know what you guys think. Obviously, if you're outside of the EU, especially I know a lot of you guys are in the US, this potentially will have no effect whatsoever. But we will have to see, because just like with the introduction of microtransactions themselves, they started off as a small sort of thing every now and then, mostly in free-to-play games. And of course, now we have even the huge AAA games coming out with tons of purchasable content and in-game currencies and stuff like that. The whole thing has escalated massively over the last few years. And so if these restrictions start to come into place, the reverse essentially could happen, right? Where more and more restrictions come in and things become more limited, but obviously we will have to see. So let me know all your guys' thoughts on this down below. Are you free to play? Are you a spender? What are your thoughts on this? Like, would it affect you if it does take place in your region? Like, let me know your thoughts down below in the comments section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.